I'm Emily.
And I'm Hannah.
We are best friends and dietitians. We have a goal of challenging nutrition misinformation and fitness trends with an evidence-based approach.
Each episode, we will dish up our thoughts about the latest facts on a popular health-related topic.
We're the Up-Beet Dietitians. Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Up-Beet Dietitians podcast.
Hey, guys. Welcome back to a new episode. In fact, it's a new episode format today. You guys know and love our educational episodes, and we love making them, but we thought it would be fun to kind of sprinkle in some of our own stories and lived experiences along with the educational things that we talk about too. We've talked a little bit together, both on air and off air, about being more authentic on here. And we think that would include us just talking about our own lives and such a little bit more, because we do have our histories of disordered eating and such that we know a lot of you could relate to. So we thought that would be good instead of just us being audio textbooks for you all. We thought it could be nice to kind of show that we're actual humans too. So
Yes. Yeah.
We're doing exactly that today.
It'll be good. And I feel like that's when it's more fun, when you guys get to hear a little bit more about our personal lives. I feel like the most personal we normally get is when we get into the therapy section of our episodes. So I probably just think we're mentally unwell, and then we're dietitians, and that's it.
That's all you know about us.
I'm excited for today. We're going to talk, like Hannah said, about our disordered eating history a little bit. So trigger warning, because that's kind of primarily what we'll be talking about. So if you think that talking about disordered eating at all, or hearing about disordered eating will be a trigger for you, skip this episode, protect your peace, and let's just get into it, because I feel like I don't know where this episode will take us, because it's a new format, but
yeah, bear with us.
I'm sure we'll find a way to just talk a lot, because that's typically what happens.
Yeah. Well, let's start with the history of Hemily, shall we? How did the Up-Beet Dietitians even come to be? We've shared a little bit about it, especially in our first episode, but I do not recommend listening to that first episode, because we are like robots.
We re-recorded it though.
Oh, did we?
Mm-hmm. We re-recorded it when I visited you
yes.
last year. Now I'm thinking, did I upload the new?
I know, because we also recorded an ad thing that we never used.
We definitely didn't use that.
Which is good, because it was a 30-minute long ad.
We just kept talking. It's it's a whole episode about the ad. I'll have to go check right now, but I'm 85% sure.
You're right. We did record something.
Uploaded the new version.
Okay. Well, maybe do listen to it, but also we'll just give you the rundown here of how we met and everything. So no need if you don't want to.
No. So we met at Purdue. We both completed our undergraduate degree at Purdue. And we met during summer orientation. There was something called STAR, and I don't know what that stands for now that I'm thinking
I don't
about it.
either. And I even helped work it my junior, senior year. It's student
training.
Something. Student training
Admission?
And
I don't know.
Student training and relations. That's definitely
it's probably something weird. But we kind of met during that. Or we technically all met. We didn't really
all of Purdue met during STAR.
More of our dietetics class met, but we didn't actually really meet until we were both in the same dual major program, because we could not make it easy for ourselves. So we're let's do two majors instead of one.
In 4 years.
Yeah. Because life was not easy enough for us. But that's just naturally how we both are. We just can't.
Yep.
Even now, we can't make life easy for us.
No, it's what more can I add to my book or my plate so that I'm more overwhelmed?
Yes.
Let's do that.
Never relaxed. And when you're relaxed, you're dissociating. I don't know about you. I dissociate when I relax to forget where I am.
Have you seen the memes of consuming 5 types of media at once, so you don't have a single thought in your brain?
Yes, that's literally me. I have to have something playing on the background while I'm reading or on my phone. And I'm like, there, no thoughts are being had.
No thoughts. If I think, bad things will happen.
No, yes. But we met during our dual major. I think we talked about in the first episode how like we actually didn't talk until like bio class. I remember it very distinctly where I'm like, I recognize that girl. She's in dietetics. I'm going to walk up to her and introduce myself.
Which thank God you did, because I would never, because I'm not like that at all. I would have
And
never
now
met you until like senior year, maybe.
I was going to say we were like a close knit group by the end, but that was
True.
just all like our trauma bonding of going through Purdue dietetics together.
Yes.
And then from there on out, we sat next to each other and became best friends ever since in every
Aw.
class.
Have we told the story about how I forgot your name?
I feel like we did, but I didn't know this. I don't think you told me this for a while.
No, it's probably like junior year or something when I finally admitted it. I had Emily in my phone as like Emily Dietetics, or like, no, Dietetics Girl or something like that for the longest time. Because I am so bad at remembering names. And then eventually, like, I somehow learned, like, either you said it like in like a little monologue or something, or I saw you like write it on a piece of paper or something. I don't know. I finally figured out your name was Emily, and I was like, okay,
No,
cool. Add it to
That's
my phone.
the best way to find out names is looking at their papers or think what they're doing. I'm like,
I feel like we used that strategy a few times to
we definitely
to learn
have
about other people.
instead of asking, but it's okay. So going into Purdue, we like had very different views. Like both of us, we did not, I don't want to say we had the same views, but like compared to where we are right now, we had very different views and approaches to dietetics. I had no prior nutrition education before undergrad. And then you're just kind of thrown into it and you're like, this is what my perceived conception of like, or I don't know if that word makes sense. My perception, perceived conception. I don't know if that makes sense. Now that
I don't know if conception is the right word.
I think I'm like, inception, babies? I'm trying to say
perception.
I'm saying perception, but I'm making it two words.
Perceived perception.
And like, no, that's not right.
That's incorrect. We did graduate, I promise.
we did. It's just sometimes our brains don't work, but that's nothing new if you've been here for a while.
But yeah, I agree. I think maybe what we believed in, like just you and I, were pretty similar, but they're different now than they were back then. But yeah, I feel like when it comes, like, no one knows what dietitians are or do, including us when we were going into our dietetics program. Like, no one knows what dietitians do.
All you know is you talk to people about food. That's
Which
like
is honestly barely even the case. Like, it's more about like what your brain is thinking about food, and in my experience anyway at this point.
You're just kind of going in blind.
And you don't even like learn about dietetics until like junior year, honestly. It's just organic chemistry and biochemistry, anatomy.
Yeah. We did have like intro to dietetics class, but I felt like that like still I was like, what do dietitians? Because a lot of them like came in were like weirdly like private about what they actually do.
Yeah.
They like would tell you like general things, but they're like, no, I can't. It's confidential. And I'm like, what do you do?
Because they probably wanted to say it's a terrible job. Don't do it. You're going to regret it.
Shout out to like the professors that were transparent. Specific one in mind. Shout out to HK. We love him.
Yes.
Didn't save us in time.
Didn't save us. We were already too far in, thousands of dollars deep.
We were too stubborn to deter.
But today is more about like during our college days, sort of our mutual disordered eating behaviors that we experienced. I have some notes of kind of some things I want to talk about, but I feel like generally I probably was experiencing disordered eating before going into college. I just seem to remember college more because it was more recently. But I was an athlete in high school. I played soccer my entire life. I grew up with a family that was very much like organic and the seed bread. And I love my mother, but she buys like the organic Cheetos, organic Gatorade. I'm like, it's okay if we have just regular Cheetos and Gatorade. I have a note on here. I think it's like later I was going to say it, but I distinctly remember in high school doing the paleo diet, and I was a soccer player. So I would have like tuna. I'd have like a can of tuna and spinach for lunch, and then wonder why I was like dying at soccer practice afterwards, because I had like 0 grams of carbs in my body.
Do you think that you picked up on paleo from like your family?
Oh yeah,
or
my
like,
mom was doing it too.
I see.
Yeah. Go listen to last week's episode about generational dieting. Check it out. Check it out.
Dang, that's crazy. Tuna and spinach.
Mm-hmm. I also remember one day having Chinese for some reason, and then I threw up in the shower afterwards because I ate like a ton of sweet and sour chicken.
Dang.
So it was one or the other. I was either under fueling or over fueling.
A very not uncommon side effect of
I
dieting.
think that's pretty typical.
Yeah.
But
oh my gosh.
I think
scary. Hold on. Wait, I don't want to move past this. I've never thrown up in the shower.
Oh yeah,
That's
I ate
scary.
way too much. I like came home and I like felt so crappy, and then I just like barfed in the shower.
At least it was a space you could clean.
Yeah. I don't think that was intentional. I just like at that point finally was able to like let it out. Yeah.
That's
and it wasn't
fun.
like a binging and purging thing. I do want to make that very clear. It was just like I overate,
You
and then
ate,
I was doing sprints. My body was like, what the hell are you doing? And then I threw up.
What is going on here?
Yeah.
Oh man. Especially if you weren't used to eating like that much food.
Right.
Your body's probably like, get this out of me.
Like, which is it? Are we eating 100 calories for lunch, or are we eating like 600? Like, pick a lane, lady.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But I thought, since I know how to eat healthy, of course I can help others eat healthy. Enter me into Purdue Dietetics, and there we go.
I feel like that sums up so many people's dietetics experience.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast, but I know we've talked about it with other people off air about how there should be a vetting process going into dietetics for like eating disorders.
They should screen us for sure.
Every single one. Like, because the more people we talk to, like after college, the more I was like, we like found out about other people's disorder eating experiences. And I'm like, we're all just like struggling and then like constantly in it.
Exactly. It just like makes it worse in so many ways. And I feel like even if we do screen like positive for having disordered eating before we go in, like we could still do it. They just need to like have like therapy options for us. I was
going to say someone help them through that.
Exactly.
Yeah. What a fun time.
And so thankfully, Emily and I made it out. That's kind of my conclusion today, which I'll just jump right to that, I guess, and then go back.
The podcast episode is over.
It's over. That's all you guys need to know, is that I used to eat tuna and spinach for lunch. Is like Emily and I were lucky enough to get out because we did like have exposure to other dietitians who do talk about like disordered eating and health at every size, all of that. But not everyone has that experience. So hopefully if you're listening to this, you are working on getting out of those behaviors. Also recommend sharing this episode or this podcast with others who might have those experiences to help them. But I just want to say that like not all of us are lucky enough to learn what we have learned. Even though at the beginning it was not helpful, we were able to just like keep learning and be able to get out of it, which is a positive for us.
Yeah. I feel like this is also jumping in as luckily we had like faculty that were utilizing a more like non-diet, anti-diet approach. And we were introduced to like some intuitive eating and haze. So like, that's what like I know for me specifically, like that was a huge turning point because I was like, wait, what is this?
Exactly. Yeah, I have it in my notes. So I think it was like junior year or so. Was that junior year we took that class with?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We took I think it was just called like nutrition counseling. And at that point, I wasn't fully convinced yet of like intuitive eating, health at every size. Like,
Oh no.
I was still like, you can really be healthy at every size. Like my brain wasn't fully there till honestly like a year ago.
I don't think my brain, like during internship, I was like, what is this?
What? You mean that people who are in larger bodies aren't just lazy pieces of crap? What?
Yeah.
That's news to me.
I
Oh, so frustrating. But
know.
luckily though, like Emily had said, it did kind of like spark our interest, get us started in thinking about it. And we've heard from other dietitians that they haven't had a class like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like we were lucky in that way that we had that just like tiny brief introduction. And we've spoken with that professor who taught that class kind of like post grad. And she's kind of expressed that she, I think, would like to be able to go more in depth with those topics, but like, where's the time? Like you've got other things to worry about and curriculum that you have to cover. So I feel like we're lucky just to even get that little bit that we did.
Yeah. I'm hoping like going forward, there'll be more classes like that for dietetic students
I
because
hope so
it
too.
was like honestly probably like one of the most beneficial classes we were in.
Yeah, I agree. I think that one, and then also 415 was it, right? When we got to like actually counsel a client with supervision,
Oh
of
yeah,
course.
that was crazy.
That was crazy. I put my notes here actually about that because of course I was still in my cliche dietitian era. And so I remember the client asking about the dirty dozen. And I was like, oh yeah, don't ever eat those fruits and vegetables that have those pesticides. Like you got to like tread lightly with that. I'm sure Rachel was like,
What? Like, did Rachel say anything?
Rolling her eyes in the back of her head.
She's like, Jesus, like, yeah.
Stupid dietetic students. What do they know?
I know, but like, you have to have like, that's such a tough situation to be in where like, you're like seeing these like very fresh students. And like, a lot of what they learn is like from family, the internet. And then at that point, we'd had like 3 years under our belt of formal education, but you're probably like, oh my God.
Like just barfing in her own mouth as I'm saying that. Ugh. And those poor clients, like they just sign up for this knowing that we're
They're
students,
like volunteering.
Yeah, like they are brave. They probably
Bless
are
their
traumatized.
hearts. I hope we didn't traumatize any of them too lightly. I hope Rachel like pulls them aside after she's like, actually everything
P.S. P.S.
Just don't listen to what they said. They're students. They're learning.
But unfortunately though, like there's plenty of dietitians who do still do those things.
Oh yeah.
And it's a tricky conversation to have because of course we can't say that we're right about everything because we're not.
No.
But of course we also believe what we believe in. And looking back, we just feel like that's not the best way to do things.
Okay. It shows character growth when you can look back and talk on your flaws. So maybe we'll look back in like a couple years from now. We'll be like,
oh,
they were so dumb for saying that.
I
feel like we're already doing that. Like just on like the podcast, like the beginning of the podcast, we're like,
The last few episodes we talked about it. Like we're like, do not go listen to old episodes. We do not know who those people are talking on the mics.
We are very different.
That is not Hannah and Emily. Well, it is. It's just the old versions of them. We've grown. We have critical thought.
We continue to grow.
That not everyone has, unfortunately.
No, but that's it. That's a story for another time.
Yeah. I also
want
to
talk about you being a PT.
Yes, me too. So very similar to my intro to dietetics, I also was super into exercise and I still am. I still love exercise and teaching about it too. But I became a personal trainer for very similar reasons. I thought that since I'm making everyone eat healthy, I can also make them exercise a ton. And they're just going to be the epitomes of health because of me, the professional. Thank me later, but also cha-ching.
Oh yeah.
So stupid. I do love being a personal trainer. I love exercise. I love talking about it. But very similar to dietetics. I just went into it for the wrong reasons. And I feel once again that is the case for so many personal trainers. And again, very similarly, a lot of them stay in that realm of doing it for the wrong reasons.
I mean, I know from our standpoint, we've at least like had like some education. We've had a lot of nutrition. We've had some,
A class or two.
Maybe a course. But like for PTs, it's all like exercise. I don't think they take any nutrition. There isn't anything in the like to become a PT. There was no nutrition component.
There's a tiny bit.
There?
So we
Okay.
actually learn a lot about the scope of practice, which is very ironic because so many personal trainers don't abide by it. But the major personal training certification organizations, like I went through ACE, but also ACSM and NASM are also like the other pretty big ones. I only know what ACE's curriculum is for sure, but I've heard that ACSM and NASM are very similar in that they talk about the scope of practice, and they all say like you cannot give meal plans, you cannot recommend supplements, you cannot give calorie and macro goals. Yet I guarantee anyone listening to this has seen a personal trainer give out macro goals like on the internet, if not in their own personal life.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy. Like they do learn, or we do learn as personal trainers, like what is a calorie? What does protein do? Like just like the very basic nutrition, like stuff you would learn in like that, like nutrition 101 class at Purdue, like the most basic, just like non-nutrition major class. But I think again, the biggest, just like the funniest thing is that we learn about scope of practice, yet so many don't abide by it.
It is funny. I would like to do a study, but also I don't know if this is just us or all dietitians or a lot of dietitians. Is like, I feel like we've been like drilled in our head to like, you stay in your lane and you do not go out of your lane. And we have like a code of ethics and we stick to that. Like I know we've talked about this before, even though I have like the dual major like you, and like the second part of it was nutrition, fitness, and health. And I've taken multiple health and kinesiology classes. I do not dabble in fitness at all. The most I say is you don't have to exercise because you hate yourself, which I don't think that takes any type of formal training to say.
Apparently it does. Because apparently getting formal training makes you say that you should exercise because you hate yourself.
Yeah. So but it's anyway. Just like, I know it's not just PT, like personal trainers. It's a problem in a lot of professions. We just talk about most with like nutrition, because nutrition tends to get hit very hard with that, but it's just, I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Feeling confident enough to like talk about topics that like you've had minimal education, if any education in.
Like we learned a little bit about medications and MNT and like what they do and how like food interacts with them. But like I would never tell a patient like you should ask your doctor for XYZ medication. No. Yet so many doctors who also had a very tiny amount, for the most part, some do have extensive education, but for the most part, most doctors are just learning a very tiny amount of nutrition. They, for the most part, once again, feel very, very confident talking about nutrition, even though they likely learned as much about nutrition as we learned about medication. Yeah.
I don't get it.
Everyone eats.
Yeah. I know we've talked about this recently off air, the like social dynamics of the field, where I'm like, if we were men, would our job be so overshadowed
and questioned all the time? Yeah. And like told that we're wrong all the time.
And I don't think it would.
It'd be a lot less.
But oh yeah.
It'd be a lot less. I'm sure we'd still get stuff because it's nutrition and everyone has different beliefs, but
yeah,
it'd be a lot less.
It's very interesting. If you ever want some sad entertainment, go look at the comment section of, I'm forgetting his name, the like really big male dietitian.
Zach.
I think Zach. Yes, Zach. Go look at what's his
Is it
last name?
Cohen? I think it's Zach. It's something with a C.
Yeah. Go look at his comment section, and then go look at any female dietitian's comment section that has like just you'll scroll for, you'll get the vibes.
Yep.
It's crazy how much of a difference.
I love having a
There is.
viral video because it's good for business. And I get a lot of people who do get my message, but like my most recent one on TikTok, it is 900 comments. And I'd say most of them are telling me how I'm wrong.
Which one is it?
The one where I'm on the couch clapping, talking
Oh.
about how it's okay to eat sugar and bananas and you don't have to intermittent fast. And all of them are like anecdotal evidence, like this worked for me, blank, blank, blank. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm like, cool. This is a video for you then.
Yeah.
Or my doctor says this. I'm like, okay, first of all, great. Listen to your doctor. I'm some rando on the internet. Of course, my advice is not specifically
Like
targeted towards you.
individualized. Yeah.
But also, maybe your doctor isn't the most educated on nutrition.
Yeah.
People just like have this like blind faith in them.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's
insane. But yeah, I like Zach. I like his content, but you're so right. A lot of his, I'm sure he gets trolls too. Everyone does, but
oh yeah. Like there's no
sure
way he has that like big a following and every single person is agreeing with him. That's
Yeah.
just statistically not possible.
Not possible.
But it's interesting when we look into it a little bit more. And then I know like people are always like, you're just making it about like, you're just saying people are like misogynistic or like people, it's not that deep. And I'm like, let's look at how like teachers and nurses are treated. This is like especially touchy topic.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a better word.
The soft topic. Touchy topic. It was recently National Nurses Week.
I think national. Yeah.
National. And Hannah and I are not nurses. If you're not aware.
The Up-Beet nurses.
We know a lot of nurses and work with a lot of nurses. And the way that some of them are being treated for their appreciation week are horrendous in the sense of like the complete lack of effort and lack of thought for everything they do. It's nothing new that teachers aren't respected and treated like trash. And it's they're both female dominated fields. But I feel like I'm spiraling right now. So we should get back on track.
I'm thinking like this whole episode's about like disordered eating in college. And we've barely talked about that. Yeah. It's more so like our journey as dietitians and how our brains are feeling about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I don't have a whole lot of, well, actually, yeah, I do. As I say, I don't have a whole lot of remembrances, memories, I guess is a better word. Those memories. Yes.
Remembrances. I like that.
I don't have a lot of remembrances of like my disordered eating in college, but I actually do. I told the story before. I thought I wanted to be a bikini competitor, like bodybuilding. I went through that phase. I went through the polar opposite where I wanted to be a power lifter, which I could still see myself doing that. Although just like the way it sometimes can be portrayed and like recommended like to do things does involve like macro counting and gobs of protein, all of that. But anyway, I went through kind of those two phases a lot. I'd say mostly the bikini and the bodybuilding was my biggest thing. Because at the co-rec, our gym that we went to at Purdue, there were a lot of others who were bikini competitors, bodybuilders. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, look at them, the epitomes of health. Because, I could look at their body and see if they were healthy or not. It's what you do when you're in a gym setting. Thankfully, I never went through with it, but I did have a very long phase of counting every calorie, eating classic like bodybuilding foods, egg whites, rice cakes, peanut butter powder, Quest bars.
I remember all this.
Yep.
I remember like MyFitnessPal.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That was a big part of it.
Yep. My Fitbit, I used that to like track all my steps. Crazy. I remember we took a class where we got to volunteer with the athletes. And like we worked like in the sports nutrition department. And there was another girl that I was like working at one of the fueling stations with who was also like, she actually did compete. She had competed a few times at this point. She was a bikini competitor, I believe. And I was like asking her questions about it and kind of expressing my interest. And she was like, oh, there's actually like a certain body type and like a certain look you need to have to do it. I was like, excuse me?
What?
Excuse me?
I did not know this.
Yeah, I forget. I wish I knew who she was because I would tell you. But that at the same time, I was kind of like more motivated because I want to be like, F you, lady. I'm gonna like kick your ass and I'm gonna be better at you than this. But
your
also
competitive side.
yeah, exactly. But also I was like, oh, maybe she's right. I'm like not a good fit for this, whatever. So I think that's actually like a tiny percent of the reason why I ended up not going through with it. But could you believe that? She was like, yeah, just like there's like a
body
look.
shaming you.
She was very like conventionally pretty too. And I think that was part of it as well. Like she had the look for a bikini competitor.
Yeah. Wow. The drama.
I know.
She like kind of saved you, but also like not the way to go about it.
I know.
Not your intention, I assume.
I will never forget that because I was like, rude.
That would stick with you.
I think it was like maybe sophomore year. I think she was a senior. And I was just trying to like talk about it and like learn more and like have a conversation about common interest. But then she shot that down real fast. I was like, okay, rude.
Oh my gosh.
You have to have a certain look for that. Which honestly is true. That's part of the reason why it's problematic, but still.
Yeah. Yeah. She's just sharing the problems with it. She didn't realize it, but she's like, oh
Yeah.
yes, this like red flag about it. Like this is a thing that maybe you're not aware of.
I don't think she viewed it that way. I think she's
No,
like, I am genetically blessed and I get to do this, but you don't, or you shouldn't anyway, because you're going to just feel sad about it. But yeah, maybe that was her intention. Maybe I should give her the benefit of the doubt. She was looking out for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I'll never forget that. And like I remember, like it's good to pack your lunch. I'm not anti-packing your lunch, but I of course would like always pack the most ridiculous, boring things to eat, and then I'd be starving all day, wondering why I couldn't like focus on like schoolwork, classic stuff like that.
Classic.
And then we also had our Instagrams, our like nutrition Instagrams that we made. Oh my gosh, I can probably find them. I can't log into them, unfortunately, but
like Hemily.
I think Perfect Pair, right? Was the one we did nutrition.
Oh my gosh, wait, Perfect
Do I even want to say this on the podcast?
Oh God.
Oh my gosh, I found it. We have 48 followers.
No, I think
like,
we should share
immediately. Like, here's me flexing in a mirror.
Wait, they follow me. Shoot, what is this password to this account?
We got to delete this.
2017.
Oh no.
The way I can literally tell you what dining halls
I know
I ate at when I post these pictures. Okay, but some of the captions are kind of cute.
Like I'm proud of the food list one. We talked about like how low carb isn't a bad thing.
Oh my gosh. This is literally you.
I'm gonna barf.
When in doubt, throw this. You posted this. When in doubt, throw some veggies and chicken on greens and consider lunch complete.
Ew!
And it's like literally like
ew.
It's like spinach with a ton of corn, cheese, chicken, 3 little peppers.
This is exactly what I was picturing. This lunch right here. It's like pesto chicken, spinach, green beans, carrots, tomatoes, and I ate it cold, I remember.
Oh.
I remember this.
Okay, but look how cute this little quesadilla is.
Cute. Oh my gosh, so cute.
The grocery hauls.
Oh my god.
The pictures of France. Oh my gosh, I miss France.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We did have that. I said treat yourself. I know we preach healthy eating, but it's also very important to treat yourself.
Aw, okay. Your little appreciation post of me eating dining court food. Who is that baby?
Oh my gosh. My new favorite drink. This is you. I just mixed coffee, almond milk, vanilla, whey powder, and ice in a blender.
That actually is
You're
very
like
good,
really into
but
that sounds good. Oh
it
my
is
gosh, I
good.
posted my Easter meal.
Oh,
Wait,
yeah.
you were obsessed. Is this a Tay influenced
Yes,
meal?
yes, yes, 100%.
I was like, I would know this PB powder and coconut oil and
Uh-huh.
sweet potato and egg anyway.
Uh-huh. Which actually does taste good, but once again, my
It does
intention
look
was
good.
awful.
Oh my gosh, our slushies. Oh my gosh, we were really like moderation is key. Once in a while is okay. Our little slushy picture.
Ew, it's a cute picture.
It is cute.
Look at this dry ass chicken with some sweet potatoes and broccoli.
Uh, okay, so want to hear something interesting? The reason also I have minimal pictures on here is because a lot of my disordered eating continued into my dining court habits.
Mm.
So I would not share like the pictures of what I was eating. So you were carrying this account for like 2/3 of it. I was like, if I was like out of, why do we post a picture? Oh, this is butternut squash. I thought this was mango. I'm like, why
Oh
do we
my
post a
God.
bowl of mango? Dang, if we had kept up with that, who would have known where we'd be right now? Maybe we'd have millions of followers.
This is like the old Tud, basically.
Oh yes. I feel like I didn't have a lot of like really big noticeable like points in my disordered eating. I like mine actually started, it wasn't really because of my family. It came out of like stress and like dealing with like emotions. Mine started junior year where I want to go, same thing. I want to go into sports nutrition, but I also wanted to cure obesity. Two very interesting goals I had.
I forgot
there.
we had like our sports RD days. That was a big part of our
I
life for a
wanted to
long
be a
time.
sports dietitian up until probably 2020.
Same.
Like, if it weren't for the pandemic and realizing job security is a thing.
Honestly.
And I also didn't want to move away from Chicago. But the whole job security part, I was like, oh my gosh, I would like to have, in case there's another one, I would like a job. Yeah. But mine started because I was like in too many AP classes, and I was like balancing studying for the ACT, which Hannah, you know, I'm a terrible test taker. So like that was a horrible time. And then also like was doing sports at the same time. And I distinctly remember around like 2 p.m. every day, like my entire life up until I was 16, around 2 p.m., I'd have like hunger cues where like at the time, I don't think I knew really what it was, but I was like, oh, my stomach hurts and it's grumbling and it feels really empty. And I was like, I'm going to ignore it. And I'm like, classic ignoring your hunger cues for what?
Right.
And then junior year, I started like giving into it. I was like giving in. I was honoring my hunger cues. But in my head, I was like giving in. So I was like, I've ignored this for 16 years of my life. Why am I like responding now? But I have like certain foods. I think you know this because like I like can't enjoy them to this day. Where like they were like my binge foods. And it was Kashi granola bars.
I knew you were going to say that one.
It was the chewy chocolate chip granola bars, and it was hot chocolate. And my parents had no idea. I like brought this up to them years later, and they're like, we just thought you really liked granola. I'm like, what I would do, and I'm sharing this because I've like never shared this publicly. Only certain people know about this. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe someone else is going through this, and they will be like, oh, I'm not alone. Cause like I had no idea I didn't talk to people about this.
Right.
Every day to deal with like what I would do with it was like I was so stressed, I would like overeat to like numb the stress. And so I'd be so like uncomfortably full that I like couldn't have thoughts. Still happening, just different coping mechanisms. But I would like grab like 6 or 7 of each of the granola bars and have like 2 or 3 hot chocolates every night. But the thing is, I would sneak the granola bars up to my room and just like lay on the ground and like scroll on my phone and just like eat them. And there was like I was not gauging fullness. I was just like, it was it wasn't a coping mechanism. It was just like eating to like forget about my responsibilities and like the stress and everything. So I was like eating probably like 2,000 calories more than I normally do every single day. And I ended up gaining like, the reason I know this is actually, I'm not going to share the number because I don't want anyone comparing that. I gained 10% of my body weight in 2 months. And the reason I know this is because I weighed myself every morning because that's what I was taught to do. So at first I was like, oh, it's creeping up a little bit. And then it got to the point where I was like, this is much higher than it normally is. Like normally it's kind of like, it might fluctuate a couple pounds, but I was like, but it just became this thing where like, in order to like deal with stress and like avoidance essentially of my life, I would like overeat and overindulge. And that one, it affected my like sleep a lot, which was not good. I guess it also affected my body, but I'm like, oh well. It affected like, honestly, what it made me most upset about was it affected like my like track and field career, little high school career, is because I got so much slower. And I was like so upset because in high school, that was like the sport I probably cared most about. And I was like, it's fine. We're fine. But it carried over into bringing it back to our Instagram account.
Oh my gosh.
It carried over into college because in the dining courts is unlimited eating. Like it's a buffet. And there was a lot of food in the dining courts that were not normally around at my like home before. So I was like, oh my gosh, it's so exciting. I can eat these foods more. So I was like eating like way, way, way more than I was used to. But then I've talked about RA a little bit. I was an RA for 3 years, and one, it financially got me through college. So you know what? Thank you, Reslife, for sponsoring my college career. On the other hand, there were some negatives, but the one we'll talk about today is, and this won't even seem like it, is because I got the unlimited meal plan, which are like, Emily, that's not a negative. You didn't have to worry about food security. Like you had access to food whenever you wanted. And which is very good because a lot of people do not have that privilege. But since I have unlimited swipes, swipe is like when you go into a dining court, I could go in however much I wanted. And I would just like, I remember distinctly, there were like a lot, I was gonna say there were really bad days at Purdue. There were a lot of really bad days at Purdue. So like, I don't really, they heavily outweighed the good ones.
Honestly.
But I would go and like completely overeat, and I would like hide in a corner because I didn't want anyone to see what I was eating. So I never took pictures, one, for our Instagram, and two, like literally physically, I didn't want people seeing me there because I was like ashamed of what I was eating. And I was like literally overindulging because I was like dealing with whatever stressor Purdue threw at me that day. I like distinctly remember there was one day where like I wasn't in a corner because for dining court, finding seating was impossible. So like you kind of have to take what you get. And I ran into another RA and he was like, can I sit with you? And I was horrified because I was like,
just going to ask if you ever avoided like eating with people too.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Like I would probably still eat with you because like I did not.
Yeah, we ate together.
Did not feel stressed at all eating around you, which was nice.
Yeah.
But like I would avoid eating with people all the time because I was like binging so much. And and it's a buffet, so you can do whatever you want. There's no time limit. You can stay as long as you want to. And I remember like when he sat there down and like was eating with me, in my head, I was like, oh my gosh, he's going to judge like everything I'm eating. I like try to like move my plate around. And I was like, so like not present in the conversation because I was like stressing the whole time about like what I had in front of me. The other part of this though, so there's the dining course, there's the on the go option. And this is something no one knows because I kept this a secret. Now it's coming to the internet, so everyone's gonna know. So on the go is an option where like if you can't go to the dining course, you can use X amount of swipes for like taking food on the go. Hence the name.
Makes sense.
And what I would do is you'd get like a certain amount of swipes with the unlimited plan. Did I have the unlimited? I definitely did. I did have the unlimited plan. I was like, did I do the other one? No, because I didn't really care about having more dining dollars because I got like so many for the semester. But I remember you'd have X amount. So like at the end of the week, everyone was always like, oh, you got to use all your swipes. So you just go to the on the go stations and like completely clear it out. And a lot of what other RAs do, which I like justified it was they're like, oh, I'm going to get snacks for my residents. What I would do is I would go get like 5, 6, 7 bags of like chips or candy. And then I'd go back to my room and like binge. And that one was much easier to hide because for the most part, I didn't have a roommate.
Yeah.
For the most part.
We'll save that story.
Until I did. But anyway. But that was something where like I would do that so regularly. Cause like with one swipe, would you get 3 or 4 items? I don't remember, but you could
3 or 4.
So like if you use like 2 or 3 swipes, you can get like 10 plus items.
And yeah, it'd be like sandwiches, soups, but also like chips, cookies.
Yeah, you can kind of use it however you want.
I would always get like freshman year when I had the swipes, I would get the like the Welch's fruit snacks and I would go hard on those.
Yeah.
Hard.
So.
Yeah, it's probably such a huge transition from going to a environment where you don't have like, I mean, your parents weren't like starving you by any means or intentionally like trying to deprive you, it sounds like, but if there's only certain foods available, but you want other foods, when you finally have access to those, of course, it's like a free for all.
Yeah. And like, it was very much like when I was younger, I'd be excited to go into a friend's house because there was like fun foods and fun snacks. And I was like, yeah. And I'd always be like, we need to eat snacks. And they're like, why? And I'm like, I don't get this.
My friend Ellen, her parents always had like the Little Debbie stuff. Like, Nutty Buddies. I don't know if Twinkies are Little Debbie. I don't know, but same idea.
Yeah.
I would just like think about them constantly, like being in her parents' cabinet. I'm like, when can we get that bowl out? Because I had like a whole bowl just like full of all those things. It was glorious. I'm like, when can we like get more of those things?
Yeah. It's crazy. You'd think like things like that don't affect kids, but they do.
They do.
And they're clearly still affecting us to this day.
Yeah.
It's so vividly in our mind. I feel like I came out okay. Honestly, like there was a lot that I was still like coping with during my internship. Like I wouldn't say like I never went through like any therapy for disordered eating. Unfortunately, I had other issues going on, but never for that one. But luckily it was like the nutrition counseling class played such a big part. With just like being like, oh, there's something else out there. And then like finding honestly like non-diet dietitians online.
That was my game changer. I didn't know that even existed. Just like following people like them. Yeah.
That was crazy. I was like, what does this mean?
It's honestly what keeps me going in like my business is like knowing that I could be doing what they did for me. Like being able to just like help someone like see the other side so they can just like keep learning about it and just like plant those seeds.
Yeah.
Because not everyone either can't afford therapy, doesn't have access to therapy, or they feel like embarrassed about it, or they don't feel like they need it, which I think is where
Mhm.
I've been for so long. Is like, I don't need
Yeah.
therapy. I'm good with food. Like I'm good with stress. I'm good with anxiety, but like maybe not. Maybe not.
Yeah. So that's that.
Yeah. I feel like we had different experiences with these things, like a
Yeah.
lot of similars, but like
A lot of
me, a
similars.
lot of similars. Like we suck today with our words.
Remembrances.
Remembrances and
It's okay.
similars.
I said perceived conception. So that's where we're at.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, I feel like mine was a lot of restriction, like even in college.
Yeah.
Bikini intentions, over exercise. I didn't really get into the exercise part, but the exercise, look at Finn stretching.
He's so cute.
I love
I
him
was
so
watching
much.
his little paws.
So cute. Yeah, he like does this like army crawl. It's so cute. Um, yeah, mine was mostly restriction, and then yeah, over exercise. I didn't really get into that much, but um guilt for not going to the gym. I had to lift every day, always comparing myself to the other people at the gym. And like the gym honestly was a place where I made so many friends.
Mhm.
Like I actually was looking at Perfect Pair a minute ago, our Instagram, and I saw that like me and Brendan, who found the podcast, would like go to Taco Tuesday with all the other personal trainers every
Yeah.
week. So that was always super fun. So a lot of great things came from it, which it sounds like as an RA too, like good things came from that, of course, as well, but
Yeah.
it doesn't
I
negate
think
all the bad things that happened too.
the food situation with Res Life was far from the worst part of it.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about that.
Not the time, not the time.
No, because we'd be here for a while. I could probably do a whole entire other podcast on it,
Yeah.
but that's another story for another day. Let's wrap this up because we got to talk about our bonus question still.
Oh my gosh.
Which, if you guys want to listen to the bonus question, check out our little Beet Deets subscription. There's a bio, there's like link in bio on Instagram. You can also find it on our website. If you can't find it, you can go onto like Spotify or I think Apple Podcasts.
I think it's just on Spotify.
Just on Spotify. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you'll have to get Spotify and check it out there to find here are more lighthearted part of today. Even though today was not, I wouldn't say not lighthearted. I feel like it's very easy for us to talk about like personal experiences. We're not just educating, it's more of sharing stories.
I'm excited for more of these. I like these episodes.
I do too.
Nice to talk about it. And I think others will really appreciate knowing that like even dietitians have these thoughts and these struggles. And a lot of times that's where we started. A lot of dietitians have that experience.
Yeah. So if you are struggling with disordered eating, you aren't alone. There's a lot of people, like Hannah said, a lot of dietitians also have those thoughts potentially. And you're in the majority. There's a lot of people with disordered eating. Like Hannah and I have worked with so many people, and almost every one of them has some type of like,
I'd say most people, it's wild to me. Very sad. Like most people I work with have a form of disordered eating.
Yeah. So you aren't alone. Hopefully this podcast can help. But also if you feel that you need more intensive help, like seek out a therapist, a dietitian to work with individually. Like this is not medical advice, anything that we're giving you. This is just, we do a lot more like general education. But it's okay to admit that there's something going on, and it's also okay to seek out help. There's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. Well, thank you guys for listening. Let us know if you liked this more like story time type of episode. We again like want to keep doing more of these.
Wait, I like that. Sorry, you just said story time. I like that a lot. Mm-hmm. We could like title it like story time, college days, disordered eating, and
that way they like always know like when it's a story time.
Yeah. We'll call it college eating, disordered eating, and the patriarchy.
I love it. I love it.
We'll have to make it as dramatic as possible.
Yeah. Well, thanks guys for listening. Let us know if you like these story times. Otherwise, we will see you in the bonus question.
All right. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for tuning in on this episode of the Up-Beet Dietitians with your hosts, Emily Krause and Hannah Thompson.
We appreciate you all so much for continuing to support us. In order to support us and sustain the success of this podcast, please subscribe and leave a rating and review.
If you'd like to provide us feedback for future episodes and guest stars, follow us on Instagram at the Up-Beet Dietitians.
Lastly, you can show us support by providing a monthly donation using the link at the end of our bio.
Once again, thank you so much for listening today, and stay tuned next Wednesday for a new episode. Until then, we hope you have a wonderful rest of your week.